mean, this is the real. You gotta make bottles. You gotta change diapers. It is what it is. Cheers to mommyhood. Of course. Of course. Head before just flopping. My son is good. I'm good. We're good. And those who need to know will know. Hey y'all, it's Amber. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Whether you're a first time visitor, returning viewer, subscriber, welcome. I'm happy to have you. Today we are joined by my little man. He is off camera, but just know that he is here and he is about to eat. Mom's work is never done. We need these videos done. So we're gonna have to feed and multitask. If you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and do so. I am a teacher by day, a mommy all day, every day. But also I do some lifestyle content. I'm getting into my bookish era and we just have a lot of fun over here. So make sure you go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already done so. Click the notifications. And we appreciate likes and comments around here. They help on my channel, require just a little bit of time. So if you will, for those of you that are parents or caregivers, how old are your children? Or there you go, slow down. Or how old are the children in your care? My son is 6 months old. He is the light of my life. He is one of the biggest blessings, and it has not been an easy journey. So someone asked me yesterday, I saw a cousin that I haven't seen in a while. I don't think I've seen her since I was pregnant, and she told me, she was just like, how's my motherhood treating you? How is it going being a mom? And it reminded me that I never actually sat down and gave my postpartum updates, or never came back and gave what life is like with my son. Maybe I did a 3-month update. I genuinely cannot remember. But either way, here we are. My baby is 6 months old. He is a beautiful baby boy, and he happens to have Down syndrome. Recently, he underwent open heart surgery to correct 4 heart defects that he had. It's also known, medically speaking, as tetralogy as below. Yeah, son. He underwent open heart surgery recently. Let me stop spinning so I don't choke you. And it was very difficult, but I am gonna backtrack because I do want to share more about my son's condition and experience. And I'm not sharing this to garner sympathy or pity. My son is beautiful. He is perfect. He was born exactly how he needed to be born, and I have zero regrets, shame, nothing for my son. I'm so grateful to have been blessed with this beautiful baby boy of mine. Okay. We're gonna finish feeding him and burping him, and by we're I mean me. And then I will come back to y'all once we got it together, because he needs my attention clearly. So I will be back. Of course. Of course. Of course. Hi, handsome. Yeah. Hi, baby. Anywho, so I did find out while I was pregnant that my son had what is called trisomy 21, also known as Down syndrome. And of course, they could have done the amniocentesis to confirm with fidelity that he would have trisomy 21, but I opted not to do that. I just had no interest in putting a needle, I don't care how small, in my womb to get some amniotic fluid. Like, I just wasn't interested. I talked to my husband about it. Of course, it's my body, it's my decision. But if I'm being truthful and honest with myself, I think that I spent the remainder of my pregnancy in a sense of denial. My baby was really tiny. Just for context, I will show you pictures of my bump and the different progressions of my bump. And as you can see, yeah, as you can see, my bump really didn't pop until about maybe my 7th, end of my 7th, beginning of my 8th month of pregnancy. And at that point, you know, it was time for me to go ahead and pick my induction date, because it became pretty clear that my baby was going to be smaller than usual, and they wanted to get him out as soon as possible, and the best time for that would be to induce me at 37 weeks. Fast forward, I had bi-weekly and then weekly appointments because my pregnancy was considered high risk because of my son's trisomy 21, as well as some heart defects that they discovered. Essentially, they discovered VSD, and I'll put a caption of what that is, and I'll have some information about what that means down below, along with trisomy 21, just so people that can be more informed. I do not call my son Down syndrome boy or boy with Down syndrome or anything like that. He's my chromie homie. Exactly, he's my chromie homie. He's my bestie. So I went to these appointments, spent a lot of my time going to the doctor's appointments for them to keep telling me that my son has a heart defect. There's a hole between the chambers of his heart, that his aorta was on the wrong side of his heart, and just all of these things. And it's like, I understand, I hear you, but I think I still was in denial, and I still wasn't accepting it. I don't think it was until I was about to be induced that I finally made peace with the diagnosis, and just really had to come to terms with what that meant for my labor and delivery. As I've shared previously, I had to have special teams on hand ready to go for my delivery, because they already knew that there was a chance that, one, my son might not be able to breathe on his own. They expected him to come out purple, and he kind of came out a little purplish. Like, I could see what they meant. But he was able to breathe on his own. He wasn't taking in 100% oxygen on his own, but he was breathing well enough for them to allow us to have about 2 minutes with him before they had to get him hooked up to the oxygen. And I'm grateful for that. They allowed me to, you know, hold him on my chest, because some mothers don't even get that opportunity. I get this information, I give birth, and I see immediately that my son, they didn't even have to run additional tests, which they did do, but I could see immediately that, yes, he does have trisomy 21. And I think for me, that was hard to accept. I really saw it around his eyes. Not to look at my son, he may not look, I think if you're looking for it, if you know what to look for, then you could tell, you know, probably that my son is a chromie homie. But I don't think that he has some of the more prominent or significant features of a chromie homie. And I could see, though, they had it. I just knew as soon as I saw him, as soon as I felt him, when I realized how purple he actually came out, that yes, he does have it. Sure, go ahead and run the test, but it's pretty clear at this point. Y'all made it pretty clear through the second half of my pregnancy that he hasn't. So I just had to make peace with it. My baby spent 18 days in a NICU. I'm not going to rehash that story because I've already shared it. I'll make sure to link the video down below. So spent the days in the NICU. They continue to explain to me some of the things that comes with having trisomy 21, besides the obvious. So one of the things that they had to check for was his vision, to make sure that he could see. He already has his next ophthalmology. No, it's not ophthalmology. It's some kind of word. But basically, they did a vision test for him. He passed flying colors, and he's going to have another appointment in January at 1 year old, where they're going to check the vision. And just over time, I believe they're going to continue to check the vision, because that could be something that's affected by having trisomy 21. Hearing passed with flying colors, that's also something not as big as a concern, but something that I definitely want to make sure that I'm paying attention to. They also look at muscle tone. Now, there is a spectrum of muscle tone, and you do not have to have loose or tight, I guess is the other, or regular. You don't have to have trisomy 21 to have low muscle tone. So I just want to make sure that that's clear. Some of these things can come with babies that are not born with trisomy 21. They're not exclusive to trisomy 21. So I just want to make sure that people understand that they can have developmental delays, but so can a child that does not have trisomy 21. Okay, I teach for a living, so all right. Anyway, so he did all of the tests, did good. He was able to pick up weight pretty quickly. He did lose a little bit, but he regained it for the most part really quick. He's been able to, since the first time they offered him a bottle, he's been able to take that bottle like a champ. My baby likes to eat, and we like to feed him, which is why he's a chunker. right now. Yeah. He's also very long. My husband is nearly 6 feet tall. And so, I mean, I have long legs, but that's pretty much all I have to offer. I'm like 5'3" and a half, 5'4" if you can really stretch me on a good day. And so I'm not the world's tallest person. I'm not the world's shortest person either. But I mean, 5'3", 5'4" is not very tall, not very long. And I don't think I was a very long baby from the pictures that I've seen. So my son does have my husband, seems like he's gonna have my husband's height. And they're just different things that comes with my son having trisomy 21, but more specifically focusing on that muscle tone. He's about mid-range, so he does have lower muscle tone than like the average baby, which means that things are gonna take him longer. A lot of babies are able to hold their heads up at like 4 or 5 months. Yeah, my son is 6 months and he's just now getting to a point where he can hold his head up on his own for longer than a minute. You know, he was able to do so today, and my mom was just like, what? And I'm just like, yeah, you know, I've been testing him out to see how long he can hold his head up. So he's able to do well. We do have a developmental therapist that we are working with. We are also going to get him back in physical therapy and occupational therapy when he is cleared by his cardiologist. We're also going to have him working with a speech pathologist because we've noticed some concerns with how my son feeds. Yes, he feeds, and I mean, I could, you know, he can be fine as is, but I just want to make sure that patterns don't develop as he, especially as he starts getting introduced to solids, and my son doesn't always want to swallow. And so I just want to make sure that everything is okay. We are working with different specialists to make sure that he does not develop any huge developmental gaps. That, you know, obviously I read to him. I'm a teacher. My husband is a teacher or was a teacher. And, you know, so we understand some of the signs and things to look for, and how when kids go under the radar without supports, without getting the basic foundational skills of knowledge, how that can affect them in middle school, in high school. I'm even seeing it in elementary, having taught 2nd grade. That's a video coming soon, by the way. And so it's just really important to make sure that our son doesn't develop any physical or cognitive delays if we can help it. Now, does that mean that he might be a little older than some other babies before he starts doing things like walking? Yeah. I mean, some babies are able to start solids at 6 months. He's 6 months. We're still recovering from surgery. In all actuality, he probably won't be able to start his solids until he's about 7, 8 months. You know, may not start crawling until he's about 9 months. You know, there are still milestones that my son has to have. And it's okay if my son is not walking at 9 months. It's all right if he's not even walking at 10 months. Or, you know, the goal is for him to be walking by a year now. But with his condition, it's like a spectrum. There is no set developmental trajectory of any one person, just like there's not of any person without trisomy 21. There's not one trajectory of someone with trisomy 21. They develop different. Some may not have any physical characteristics of Down syndrome. Some may not have low muscle tone. Some may not have cognitive delays. It doesn't seem like my son will have any, and I hope to keep it that way. I do try to keep him mentally stimulated. We read, we listen to nursery rhymes. Like, I talk to him as if I'm having a conversation with a grown-up. It's just me and him at home. So who else do I have to talk to while husband's at work until it's time for me to go back to work? And so he's doing all of the things that he needs to do, and he is still on pace for where he should be within the normal range of where kids are. So he is able to hold up his head. He is able to sit up for the most part. Obviously, we're not allowing him to try to sit up on his own right now, but we do allow him to kind of like lean maybe a shoulder against us while he sits up. And that's how I'm able to discover that he can hold his head before just flopping. But now he can pick his head up. He can choose to go down. He can choose to look up. He can look from side to side. And that's just the things that I try to work with. My husband tries to work with. My mom tries to work with. The previous developmental therapist that we had. We are all working together. And our main priority is making sure that this little boy has the best quality of health that he could possibly have. Fast forward, he has open heart surgery about a month ago now at this point. We're in the 3-week going on 4-week territory. And my son was a champion. I had so much peace before going into surgery. I chose not to announce it publicly that my son was going to be having surgery, because again, I'm never looking for pity or sympathy. I don't need anybody to feel bad for me or my son. My son is good. I'm good. We're good, and those who need to know will know. So my husband and I chose to keep that private. I did not share that he had surgery publicly until after my son was already in recovery. They were able to fix the heart defects. Heart, lungs, good. He's healthy. He was back home within 3 days, and he's trying to set up right now. Like I said, we're going on a month post-surgery, and my baby is doing well. He's doing phenomenal. I'm so proud of him. He has another cardiology appointment next week. And then after that, 2 more weeks, and he should be good to go. We should be able to get him clear, ramp up his physical therapy. Obviously, we're not going to take him too fast. We work with professionals who understands what he has gone through, the surgery that he has gone through, what his body is doing, and how things are still healing. So relax. We're not going to take him too fast, but we're not going to take him too slow either, because we want to make sure that his quality of life continues being well. And it sounds like my hubby is home. Now that I got that taken care of with my son, let's talk about me, right? Because this is supposed to be my video and my postpartum journey. First things first, I want to go back to answering the question of like, how is motherhood? What is it like? Motherhood is unlike anything I've ever experienced in my life, and I mean that in the best way possible. My son has really changed my outlook on life, and I really think undergoing pregnancy, undergoing childbirth, and raising a kid, it really has changed my DNA. I am not, and I told, you know, I put this on the Instagram post, I am not going back to life the way it was, because I am not the same person that I once was before. Being a mother is not my identity, but it is a significant part of who I am. My baby, love him. If I didn't want him to cry, I would squeeze him. You know, I love him, and being a mom is the best decision I've ever made. It was easy for me to tell my husband yes when he proposed. It was easy for me to commit myself to him on our wedding day for the rest of our life before God. It was an easy decision to realize that I wanted to have a kid that was half of me and half of my husband, and just really commit to creating a family together. You know, obviously we have family, we're a part of our families, we're members of families, we get that, but to have our own family, to have a child that was created in our love together, that is made of both of our DNA, that is so much of me and so much of him, was the easiest decision. Even when they suspected that my son would have Down syndrome, they offered, you know, counseling. They offered, if I were interested, they were willing to, you know, give me resources to make a decision about whether I wanted to have my son or not. But even with that, there was never any doubt. Didn't care what the diagnosis was. Didn't care how expensive it would become. None of that mattered to me. Only thing that mattered to me was that my son grew inside of me for as long as he needed to, that I was able to provide him what he needed while he was inside of my womb, deliver him, was terrified to give birth. Now having gone through it, not nearly, in my experience. I did not have a traumatic birth. I mean, I know that birthing is a trauma within itself, but I mean, like, I did not have a traumatic birth, okay? My birthing experience is not the same as many birthing experiences. You know, I had a really easy labor. I had a really easy delivery. My baby was small. He just came right on out. So I understand that my experience is a little bit different. The only thing that matters to me is that my son is healthy, that he is happy, that he is growing, glowing. Here, let me show y'all this roll developing, okay? Look at the meat on it. Look at the meat on the bone, okay? Hi. That's what's most important to me. Nothing else comes first. He comes first. Point blank, period. Now, not gonna get into the debate, the husband versus the child. They occupy 2 different places in my heart. Okay, I do not love my husband like I love my son. I do not love my son how I love my husband. It's different. The love that I feel for my son is not something that I could ever explain, but mamas just know. You know the love that I mean, where you will walk through coals, you will walk on fire, you would walk in the deepest ocean for your kid. I love my kid. There's nothing I wouldn't do for him. He made me grow up in a lot of ways. I was 30 years old when I gave birth. Okay, so I've lived life a little bit. I'm still young. Okay, keep it cute. But I've lived my life. There's no point in my life where I felt like I wasn't able to be at that stage of life. I was able to be a kid as a kid. I did not have to grow up fast. I played with my Barbie dolls until I was in middle school. Okay, I was a kid. As a teenager, I was a teenager. I did not have to work. I chose to work. My mom was willing to take me to and from work. She got me a car so that I could go different places. So I could take myself to school, take myself to work. In my 20s, I was able to go out. Your girl traveled. Your girl went out. She went clubbing. Clubs are not my thing. Never really have been. But if I was invited, I would go. So I've been able to experience every phase that I need to experience. And so this phase of mommyhood, your girl is selfish in a different way. I'm just so proud to be a mom. I'm so proud to have my son. I'm just really thankful to have him. I think I spent a lot of my time feeling guilty, like there was something that I had done for my son to get his diagnosis. Did I take my prenatals enough? Like, was I not eating enough? And there is just so much that I went through and that I'm still even working through. Yeah, honey. 6 months postpartum, I'm still working through some of the guilt that I felt in my pregnancy. You know, going back to work, leaving my son at home and going to be with other children that were tearing my nerves up. I love my kids, but my goodness, they tore my nerves up. You know, I'm at a crossroads now where I'm just like, okay, do I want to be at home with my son, possibly losing out on an income? You know, there are a lot of plans that we have. Like I said, we're planning his first birthday. We're planning a huge vacation for us next year. And so it's just like, is this a good time? And if I continue to work full time, like, I feel guilt about that being my time with my son being taken away. My husband works really weird hours in this new position that he's in, and I just want my baby to have a consistency. I am a person that thrives on consistency. My son likes consistency. When we throw him off, he misses a nap, when he's not fed at the 3-hour mark regularly. Like, there are times when my son can have a real meltdown, and rightfully so, because when I'm hungry, I get grouchy. I get angry. It's just important for me to work through any guilt that I begin to feel, to also realize that I am an imperfect human and there may not always be a perfect scenario that meets every need exactly how I want them to. But I think that things will work out how they need to work out. I think that I will come to a decision in this crossroad very soon. I think that my son is still going to get the love, attention, the care, the focus that he needs from me. I just may not know what that looks like for myself. So I have some things that I'm working on behind the scenes. There are some opportunities that might be presented to me, and I'll talk more about it as, you know, those things come. And even if they don't, then we'll still talk about it later. I've been working through mom guilt. I've been working through postpartum depression. So previously I was diagnosed with moderate depression and anxiety. My anxiety scale is usually kind of high in comparison to my depression scale. I do work with a therapist. We do, you know, periodically figure out where I'm at as far as my anxiety. And it's typically never both elevated at the same time unless it's severely stressful situations. But I would say my anxiety has been pretty low, but my depression has been pretty high. And fortunately for me, I have been dealing with my mental wellness long enough to see the signs and to let my loved ones know before I cause problems. And what I mean by that is not necessarily cause problems for anybody, but if you've ever had depression or dealt with someone that has depression, it's not always logical. And I wish people would not joke about depression and anxiety as just something that you feel as a temporary moment, because it's real. And there are those of us that sometimes suffer silently. I'm one of them. I feel like I've had anxiety since I was in high school. I didn't really have a label for it. I didn't get a clinical diagnosis. I wasn't seeking therapy at all. But as I think about a lot of my behavior patterns and a lot of things that occurred, I would say maybe around my 9th grade year is when I started to develop anxiety and depressive signs and symptoms that I didn't understand. I believe that I went through a depression in high school. There was an incident that had to do with my brother, and there are just telltale signs that I have when I tend to be going through some of my harder moments or more difficult moments. I'm not going to say dark because I've never been to a place of self-harm, and so I don't want to get too much into the mental health side of things. This is not something that I generally share. Sometimes if it comes up and depending on the context, I might share this with someone, but this is the first time that I'm publicly sharing, working through both of those things, I believe. And so it's just really important for me to keep my mental health together because my son feeds on my energy. When I'm unhappy, when I'm angry, when I'm sad, when I'm crying, my son cries. When I'm happy, when I'm joyful, when I'm smiling, he's happy, he's joyful, he just smiles. We like radiate love to each other. I mean, like from the outside looking in, I can imagine this, how annoying my husband and I were when we were in our, dating phase, when everything was new and we were infatuated, we were falling in love, and we just giggly and googly eyes, and we still give giggly and googly eyes, and we still annoy people. We are still very much honeymooners, even though we're not newlyweds anymore. But I mean, it is what it is. And so I kind of have that same connection, of course, obviously very different with my son. And it's just, we have an unspoken bond. My baby, he gets me and I get him. Like, we feed on each other's energy. And so that's why it's really important for me to make sure that I keep my energy right, which is why I am working through therapy, which is why I do things more and more lately to practice self-care. I'm doing more videos. I'm sharing more of myself. I'm stepping outside of my comfort zone by letting people into me. I have not really shared my relationship like that. I mean, if you know me and you're friends with my husband and myself, then obviously you've seen us interact and you've seen like how we get down. But as far as having my man on my channel, I ain't did that before. This is new. This is new territory for him and myself. And I think now I'm getting to a place where I am choosing me. And so what that means is I am comfortable now sharing more of me. I'm comfortable sharing more of my life and rediscovering who I am, right? This is the purpose of this series. This video is going to be the first video of a series where I'm rediscovering Amber. I'm rediscovering my happily Amber after. And I hope you stick around for the ride. So shameless plug, subscribe. Thank you. So part of being a mom is making me realize that I can be selfish, and I am going to be selfish, and I will be selfish. If there's an event, if there is an opportunity, if there is anything that could possibly at any point cause any negativity in my household, in my little family, with my son, I will not be participating. Which is why we're at a crossroads with work, because I can't keep bringing stress and frustration home. Will not. So I think I can confidently say this is probably going to be my last, and by probably I mean like I'm 98% certain that this is going to be my last year teaching in a classroom. Would love to stay in the field of education. I know that education is so uncertain with what's going on at the national level, but I'm not concerned about that. What I'm concerned about is making sure that I show up to my work and do the best that I possibly can, that I give my son the best that I possibly can, and that I'm the best version of myself, not just for my son, not just for my family, not just for others, but for myself. It's important for me to choose me, and in this phase of life, I am choosing me. Your girl is keeping her nails done. Hello. Okay, press ons for the win. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. Press ons for the win. Etsy. Getting my pedicures. We're not going to be putting our feet on camera. I will not be making feet content. But I'm in this phase of life where I'm going to treat myself. Got a stack of books here. Need to do a book haul video. Been buying things. I told my husband I wanted bookshelves for my birthday. Maybe weird to some. Doesn't matter to me because it makes me happy. And in this phase of life, I am prioritizing my mental health. I am prioritizing my well-being. And I'm prioritizing my happiness. Because happy me, happy household. My husband and I were talking, and he was really upset because someone that we consider a friend had a party, did not invite us, and he really felt some kind of way about it. And I think for me, I didn't care because I'm used to not being invited nowhere. If I don't feel like going, if I don't have peace in my spirit, I'm not going. It just is what it is. And I think that rubs people the wrong way, but I prioritize me. If I have a bad vibe about going somewhere, guess what? I'm not going. I've done that before where I put myself in situations where I didn't feel like going and I just had bad vibes and everything was telling me not to go. And I would force myself to go for somebody else's benefit and it backfires against me. I'm not doing it in this phase of life. And if that offends people, I'm so sorry. If that means you don't want to invite me to any of your events, I totally understand, because I don't want anybody bringing negative energy to my events, and I'm for sure not bringing negative energy to anybody else's. Don't take it personally when people stop inviting you because you're a parent now. Okay, everybody's gonna automatically assume that my husband and I don't want to come out, can't come out. I was a hermit before I had my son. I'm a hermit after my son. Actually, I think I've been outside more after giving birth than I was before giving birth. To be perfectly honest, like, I think I've been going out more. I've been leaving my house. So motherhood has taught me to stop taking things so personally. I am not an expert, okay? I can't give you mother advice. I can give you life advice with my son that I've had for 6 months, and just, you know, things specific to him or things that were specific to her. But like, I am not the guru of all things motherhood, which is why I made it very clear that this is not going to be a motherhood channel. Motherhood is part of my journey, but it is not my journey. And so I will share part of that with you, but I am not making this entire thing. Yeah. I'm not making this entire thing just about motherhood, because I'm so much more than a mom. I've been Amber a lot longer than I've been a mother. I didn't mean for this video to be this long. I was just simply supposed to be giving y'all updates on my son and what motherhood has been like for me. I will sit down and make another updated motherhood video, likely when my son is 1 year old. Thank you for sticking around this far if you have thus far. I am going to be doing a giveaway for my channel very soon, and I just need to figure out what that giveaway is going to be. Once I have it decided, I am going to do it. So just stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe, stick around, so that you do find out when that giveaway is going to be and what it's going to be. I think that, you know, we hit a milestone. We hit 500 subscribers a while ago. We've been sitting over 500 for a while, and we are aiming for 1,000 before the end of this year. And I know it can happen, and even if it doesn't, I still feel like I'm doing what I want to do. I'm having fun with YouTube. I'm enjoying myself. I'm not taking it too seriously, and it is what it is. So make sure you stick around. I will be publishing videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I am going to be working on my shorts for every other day of the week. So stick around. With that being said, thank you for hearing about my motherhood journey. I would love to hear about your experiences. If you have Chromie Homie yourself, or if you have had similar experiences in your motherhood journey, even if you've been a mother for a while, give me some advice, y'all. Help me out. Let me know. Your girl is still new to things. All right. With that being said, I'll see y'all next time. Bye, y'all.